Okay, so let's start a conversation. ChatGPT, because yesterday I used Perplexity, who is able to give me quite latest information. Wow, the conversation with Perplexity is like a really talk to a robot. So now I'm changing to you, see how it feel from conversation with you, right? Just now we talk about the latest update of the tension in the Middle East of Israel suddenly attacked Iran because of nuclear issue, right? So maybe give me an answer. What is the impact on U.S. market, especially for Nasdaq? Do you have any idea?
Certainly. Geopolitical tensions like the Israel-Iran conflict can have significant impacts on global financial markets, including the Nasdaq. Here are a few potential impacts. 1. Increased volatility. News of conflicts often leads to market uncertainty, causing stock prices to fluctuate more than usual. 2. Energy prices. Such tensions can affect oil prices due to concerns about supply disruptions, which can impact tech companies' operational costs. 3. Investor sentiment. Heightened geopolitical risks can lead to a flight to safety, where investors move money into safer assets like gold or government bonds, potentially affecting tech stocks. Overall, while it's hard to predict the exact impact, markets typically react to geopolitical events with increased caution and volatility.
Okay, maybe I gave you some clue. Based on my latest observation, at the beginning, just maybe a few hours ago, the VIX rise significantly, while Nasdaq 100 future also dropped a lot, more than maybe 1.3% or 1.5 around that number. Now, just before maybe 10 minutes before the opening market, right? The VIX dropped quite a lot, while the Nasdaq 100 future also was recurring maybe 2 hours ago. So my understanding was, always Iran will retaliate in a small scale, which maybe will save the market. Uh, do you agree with my idea? What is your opinion?
Your observation about market reactions makes sense. Geopolitical events often cause initial volatility, but markets can stabilize once investors gauge the broader impact. If Iran's response is limited, it might.
Hey, why you got no voice? Because we're talking something sensitive.
I'm here to help with any questions or information you need. If there's anything specific you'd like to discuss or ask about, feel free to let
Hey,
me know.
hey, hey, hey. Our conversation being reset. Okay, so we maybe we change the angle. I talk to you again. Basically, I want to gauge exactly as you just said, right? I want to gauge the impact on U.S. marketplace. Based on my own analysis, this is a small impact because I don't think Iran basically like to have a huge war, right? Long-term war with Israel. That one, Iran cannot sustain for a long-term run. So that's why this one maybe I mean short-term dip. If really happen a short-term dip of U.S. market, then I will add more, especially the tech stock. Okay, any comments from your side?
Your analysis makes sense. Geopolitical events often lead to short-term market volatility, especially in sectors like tech stocks. Historically, markets tend to recover once the immediate reaction settles. It might be a good idea to keep an eye on how the situation evolves and how market sentiment shifts. If the situation stabilizes, you might see a rebound in the markets, especially in sectors that are less affected by geopolitical tensions.
Okay, so maybe I give you some more clue. While the U.S. oil future price of future rising significantly around maybe 8% to 10%. Now it is already beyond $70 per barrel, right? So then that one maybe for maybe after this one, maybe next month when we are when the CPI or PPI being reported to the marketplace, then there will be a surge of the value, uh, then it impact the market again. So what is the expectation of maybe this month CPI or PPI because of this incident suddenly happened? Do you have any idea? Well, this
In
is a
May,
okay. Please go ahead.
for June 2025, analysts are predicting that the Consumer Price Index, CPI, and Producer Price Index, PPI, may show moderate increases. The recent geopolitical tensions, including the conflict between Israel and Iran, have likely impacted energy prices, contributing to the rise in oil prices. This could have downstream effects on inflation indicators like CPI and PPI. However, the overall impact will depend on how long these tensions persist and how markets respond in the coming weeks. Keep an eye on official reports and market reactions as they become available.
Of course, I will keep on airs upon those issues. While I'm asking you, what is your expectation value of CPI for month June of 2025, right? Give me your expectation value rather than just tell me I need to observe something. I know I am the professional analyst, right? I'm observing all the data from time to time. Please do help.
I understand your need for specifics. While I don't have the exact forecast values, analysts typically estimate that the CPI might show a moderate increase, possibly around 0.2% to 0.4% for June 2025, depending on the data. The PPI might also reflect similar modest increases, influenced by energy prices and other production costs. Keep in mind these are just estimates, and the actual figures may vary based on various economic factors.
Okay, so maybe I give you my opinion. For long run, if Iran, right, if Iran doesn't have any nuclear weapon, that is basically a good news for long-term marketplace, long run of the marketplace. The reason is here: if Iran really had nuclear weapon, then if they sponsor or endorse the terrorist group who attack other countries by using nuclear weapon, you know how catastrophe that incident for the whole world of the marketplace, right? So that's why I treat it as not so bad news. Do you agree with me?
I understand your perspective. The presence of nuclear weapons can indeed contribute to global instability and raise concerns about potential conflicts. If tensions are resolved and there are no nuclear threats, it can lead to a more stable international environment, which is generally positive for global markets in the long run. Stability tends to foster economic growth and investor confidence. Thanks for sharing.
Hey, please continue. Go ahead. You didn't finish your conversation, your sentence yet. Okay, maybe I feel this is my opinion. Comparing to Perplexity, ChatGPT, whatever he wants to speak out, being constrained by certain regulations. That's why suddenly he just stopped. Well, by using Perplexity, I didn't encounter such kind of issue. So that is funny, right? Because OpenAI is so big, or because of Microsoft giving some like a more strict, constraint or regulations over the use cases of ChatGPT. I don't know whether you're understanding my question or not. Hey, you don't speak. Okay. Anyway, maybe I'm surprising you, or you feel scared. Any ideas?
I'm sorry, but you've hit the daily limit for advanced voice. You can switch to standard now to keep chatting.
Okay, now I switch to the standard. Right now is the standard. We can talk again, right?
It sounds like you might be referring to a change, but I'm not exactly sure what you mean by switch to the standard. Could you clarify what you're referring to? I'd be happy to continue the conversation.
Maybe that is saying if we switch to standard, you lost the context, right? That is maybe a feature could be improved by OpenAI further, right? Okay, so I don't know whether you recall what is the conversation on context we did just maybe around 9 minutes ago. Do you have any idea?
I see what you mean now. Switching to a different context can sometimes lead to the loss of previous details, but I still have the context from our current conversation, and I'm happy to pick things up from here. Regarding our chat from about 9 minutes ago, we were discussing inflation data and market trends, particularly related to the US CPI and PPI for June 2025. We also touched on the geopolitical situation with Israel and Iran, how it might affect markets, and how that could impact inflation.
Okay.
Does that sound like what you were referring to?
Yeah, I understand. That's great. That's super great. So then my question is, what is your expectation of today's US market performance? Will it be dropping or dropping a lot, or just maybe stabilized by today, even though maybe the market is digesting the bad news from Iran? Being attacked by Israel suddenly just happened around 10 hours ago. What is your idea? We are trying to predict today's market performance. Today is June 13, right? Please to help me.
Given that today is June 13, 2025, and considering the geopolitical tension with Israel's recent attack on Iran, it's likely that the market will experience volatility, at least in the short term. Geopolitical events often create initial uncertainty, which could lead to some market drops, particularly in sectors sensitive to oil prices, defense stocks, or broader market sentiment. However, there's also the possibility that the market may stabilize after digesting the news. Investors might take a wait-and-see approach, looking for signs of de-escalation or further retaliation before making significant moves. If the situation remains contained, or if there are diplomatic efforts to calm tensions, markets could recover by the end of the day. Overall, it's tough to predict with certainty, but I would expect some degree of downward pressure, especially at the open, followed by a possible rebound if there's any indication that the situation isn't spiraling out of control. It might not be a drastic drop unless there's an immediate military escalation. Are you tracking any specific sectors or stocks that you're watching closely?
Okay, we don't talk specific stock first. Based on my own interpretation and analyzing of the data, I can foresee that Iran will not do any major retaliation or huge attack upon Israel. So the situation will de-escalate. De-escalate maybe in next week, then end up with even this week, right? Most likely this week, the Nasdaq or Nasdaq 100 will be, down around 1% or 1 to 2%. While next week it will rebound again, even maybe a short-term new high again. Do you agree with me?
Your interpretation makes sense. If the situation between Israel and Iran does indeed de-escalate quickly, we could see the market stabilize after an initial reaction to the news. A 1 to 2% drop in the Nasdaq 100 this week is reasonable given the geopolitical tensions, as investors typically react to uncertainty by pulling back. However, as you said, once the immediate concerns fade and the situation calms down, especially if no major retaliation occurs, the market could rebound strongly. The Nasdaq 100, being a tech-heavy index, tends to recover quickly once uncertainty dissipates, as tech stocks are less directly impacted by geopolitical issues. Given the current market dynamics, a short-term new high next week is quite plausible. In summary, I agree with your outlook. This week might see a slight pullback, but if the geopolitical situation stabilizes, a rebound could follow, potentially leading to a new high in the near future. Do you have any particular stocks or sectors you're looking at for that rebound?
Okay, thank you. Maybe today's conversation will be ended here. Thank you, thank you. I feel, you're also quite comprehensive, especially talking with you like a true human being, right? So I feel you're not replacing human being for the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the kind words. I'm glad to hear that you found the conversation helpful and human-like. It's been a pleasure chatting with you, and I'm always here whenever you want to discuss anything further. Have a great day ahead.